I don't have the sharing rights.
Let me give you just a minute.
I mean,
I hope you got it, ma'am.
Yeah, I have given the rights.
you put
to the
rest.
ma'am.
Sharing rights.
Should I check or it's okay?
Now I think, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am. Kindly check. Have you got this sharing right?
Yeah.
Okay. So can we start, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So with your kind permission, let's start our third session. So good afternoon, participants. I, Dr. Jitendra Jain, welcome you all in the third session, and Dr. Meenakshi Sood, Associate Professor at NITTR Chandigarh, is going to take this session on implementation of outcome-based education in light of National Education Policy 2020. So before starting the session, let me introduce our today's expert to the participants. Dr. Meenakshi Sood is currently working as Associate Professor in Curriculum Development Department, Joint Faculty in Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, NITTR Chandigarh. She has a teaching experience of more than 20 years and has worked in various institutes of repute as NIT Hamirpur, JUIT Solan, HP University in the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering. She received her PhD in biomedical signal processing and is gold medalist and academic award winner in Master of Engineering from Punjab University, Chandigarh. She has 3 patents published in her name and has 2 government-funded sponsored research projects currently running under her and guiding 6 PhD research scholars, around 20 MTech scholars, and more than 100 BTech UG students. Her research areas are image and signal processing, bio-inspired computing, antenna design, metamaterials, soft computing techniques, curriculum design and development, etc. She has published more than 120 research papers in reputed national and international journals and conferences. She has also edited 3 books and authored study material for International Center for Distance Education and Open Learning, Himachal Pradesh University. She is a senior member of IEEE, life member of International Technical Societies such as IE and BMSEI. She is also editor of reputed journals and member of experts committee for evaluation of impact of DST FIST scheme. She had been selected as a GSE member of Rotary International and visited USA in exchange program. Currently, she is also working on developing outcome-based education and CBCS-based curriculum design for Education 4.0 in accordance to National Education Policy 2020 for Northern States of India. So such a very knowledgeable and resourceful person is with us. So now, without taking much time, I welcome you, ma'am, again, and request you to kindly start the session. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Jitendra, for such a humble and nice introduction to the participants.
Thank you.
So I'm so very glad to be part of this program. And I know there are a lot of diverse participants from various colleges and from diverse fields have joined, and I can see good number of participants are there. So I thank the Engineering College Bikaner for giving me this opportunity to be the part of this FDP program. And also, I would like to interact with all the participants who are connected with us in this program. So I would just, is my now screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it is visible.
Okay. So dear friends, all the participants, today I'll be talking about implementation of outcome-based education in light of the National Education Policy, because the entire program is on outcome-based education. And as I went through the schedule of the final schedule of this program, I could see that you have been given a lot of information about the outcome-based education. And taking or engaging a session after lunch it becomes quite dicey to keep the participants awake, because a good lunch and a weather like this always asks for a good nap. So I decided that I should put in something in this outcome-based education so that all the participants, they do not doze off and they become active. So I would request all the participants to interact. If you want, in between also, you can raise a hand and we can, if you have any query, if you have any question, we can discuss on it. And or either if you people want to ask the questions after the entire session, then also I'm okay with it. But yes, please be interactive and please be feel free to ask any question or any concern or you have to regarding this OBE or NEP 2020, because here we all are here for learning from each other. It should not be a monologue kind of thing, but I would really prefer that if we can have some knowledge I can gain from you and some you can gain from me. Anyway, so very good afternoon to everyone. So I would start the session on my implementation of OBE, especially in light of the NEP 2020, which is the present national education policy proposed by Government of India. So just to give you the background, we Indians, we had a very rich culture and heritage and knowledge of past of so many years. You name any university, Nalanda, Vishwara, any university at that time, you name any researcher, you name whether in the field of medicines, in the field of astrology, in the field of astronomy, physics, sciences, zero, everything. We had so many researchers and professors and scientists in our country. But as we were just under the, British Raj, our education system was totally delegitimized by the Western education. They spreaded their education in such a way that we were just jeopardized by their education system. And Mahatma Gandhi, in the round table conference at the international platform, he mentioned this, that the beautiful tree of education was cut down by Britishers, and Indians were far more illiterate than they were 100 years ago. So this was the scenario till we got independent. So even after independence, several changes were brought in the education system. Several, steps were taken to give impetus to enhance the quality of education system, because developing the human resource at the national level is a very, very important, requirement for any country to grow. So lot of, the changes were brought in the developing India to make the education from the school education or it is higher education to bring it a very transformational changes and reforms. But still, after so many years, 60, 70 years, we are independent and we have our own education systems and lot of changes are being there. But still, if I talk about, especially about the higher education system, there are certain problems. We are still facing, or we are just still realizing that the present, it's not that present education system is totally null and void, but there are certain challenges which we are facing when we are talking about the global scenario. Because now it is like countries are boundaryless, the education is also boundaryless. So we need to see our education system in light of what a global education system requires from our education system. So to keep pace with this internationalization of the education system, we have to modify or we have to reframe our present education system. So just a few I would like to bring in forth in front of all the participants that what are the major problems which we feel in the present education system. So first and foremost is that it is severely fragmented higher educational ecosystem. The ecosystem which is available to any child who is coming after class 10th is totally fragmented. He has well-defined silos, well-defined boundaries of choosing a stream. So if he's has an uh, freedom to choose science, freedom to choose accounts, commerce, arts, humanities. So they are very much fragmented or they are like differentiated on the basis of what courses we are taking. Then very less emphasis is given on the cognitive skills. This I'll talk about much later because we are talking about the outcome-based education. So we need to see that what the learning outcomes or how much emphasis and how the emphasis should be given to the outcomes. Because right now, the education system is output-based. We give the input, the teachers are giving the inputs, and we are looking for the output in the form of the marks, in the form of a degree, output in the form of that how much intelligent a student is or how much he is capable or for what job he is capable depending upon a piece of paper of a degree which tells 50% marks, 70% marks or 90% marks. So it is right now output based rather than the outcome based. And as I told you, very rigid separation of disciplines, right? So every, a student who goes into one stream, he or she has not the flexibility or the availability of changing the stream or selecting the different stream, right? Or selecting the, time of his degree. I'll talk about more into this later. So these are very few problems which I have cited here because if I give more focus on this, I would be digressing from my topic. So very limited problems I have stated. So keeping in this mind and coming up with various education policies till date, Government of India has come up with the Education Policy 2020 after a gap of 34 years. 1986 was the last time we had our education policy. After that, there were two amendments, two changes were there in 92 and 96, I suppose. But the major overhauling of the education system is planned in this education system, in this education policy, which envisages the transformation of the entire education system of our country, starting from the childhood, a student when he gets into class 1 primary, till he finishes his post-graduation or doctorate. And government is looking up to that this policy will transform the India's education system, and the timeline they have mentioned is 2040. Because now, if this is the statement from the policy itself, that this is going to bring a monumental development in the country's human resource transformation. As I mentioned, when we say India has an edge over the other countries of the world, that is because of its potential in the human resources. We have the youngest possible generation available. The maximum population is there, but out of the percentage of the population, the young force, the young human resource is much more as compared to any other country in the world. So if we see the positive side of our increasing population, this is the positive side, that the human resource potential which we have is gives us an edge over the developing or the developed countries. So this policy is going to bring a change in the human resource development, and it aims to disrupt existing Indian education system. I have given a lot of talks on this NEP, but in between, I will just keep on giving you how we are going to implement OBE with NEP. But a lot of things are there in this NEP where the entire education system will change to meet the 21st century skills goals agenda. And this 21st century skills not only related to India, but entire world. Today, my child who has completed his BTech or his 12th, he is equally has the choice and the chance to go to America to study. He has equally chance to go to Australia and study. So we have to make a level between our education system and the education system at globally in the different developed countries mainly, so that our students or our children do not get constrained, are not constrained because of our education system. So that is actually the idea behind bringing up such a national education policy. So the vision of NEP is bringing or providing the high quality education to all, and that is for every education policy. I would say the previous education also, they said that the quality education should be provided to all, and that is why it was mentioned that every child of 14 years age should be at least be able to read or write. But now they have reduced this age from 14 to even 8, right? But some things which this education policy looks forward to and is different from rest of the education policies is, that is, it expects a respect towards, it's called our fundamental rights and duties and constitutional values. So we are not here only available for our students to inculcate the knowledge or the information about the various aspects of science or humanities or social sciences, but also we look forward to the holistic development of the child. He should be aware, consciously aware of his surroundings, his responsibilities in the society, as a citizen of our country, as a citizen of a state, as a person who is staying in the society with the environment, so he should feel responsible and committed to the development of his own development, his societal development, and the global well-being. So this is a very important aspect which we have to, which we this new education policy is trying to bring in the students of tomorrow, our kids. So why we are like talking about so much of the OBE, or what are the deficiencies of the education system? We are the product of the present education system. And I would say that we all are not that bad, right? Or we do not have that deficiencies. But again, we have to change the focus of our education system. Because right now what is happening, the learning is just pertaining to the exam oriented. As I told you, present system, education system is totally output based, only exam oriented. The students are studying because they have to appear for the exams, because after the exams, they will be able to get a piece of degree which will fetch them their livelihood. That paper, whether I'm an engineer, whether I'm a doctor, I have this skill, I have this degree, I have this thing, that will fetch me a job, and that will be a source for earning my livelihood throughout my life, right? So that is why the students are only focused, and not only students, we teachers also focused on the exam based setup. If a student is able to, whether a student's cognitive capabilities are good or not, we are not bothered. We are just bothered that if a student is able to appear for those 3 hours of exam brilliantly and scores 90% marks, he is tagged as intelligent. And if some student who is not able to perform in those 3 hours, he is termed as an average student, right? So the very little attention was given and is given to the overall development of the students. And forget about the soft skills. We do not much bother about the soft skills, but lately now we have started realizing about the importance of the skills which a student should have. Not only the technical skills, but also communication skills. I know the subject very clearly, very emphatically. I have my knowledge part, but I am not able to communicate. I do not have the teamwork, facility. I do not have the analytical skills. So that do not carry me much at a higher level, or at a much higher, in my job or in my performance to a higher level, till I do not possess these skills. So looking in, and right now, the learning system is totally learner centered. What we are teaching to the students is based on what students want to learn. He wants to become engineer, electronics engineer. We are deciding the curriculum on the basis of that these should be the contents of a engineering course. How we are teaching him? We are giving him the notes. We are teaching him. We are giving him the presentations. We are providing all the learning activities which are pertaining to that what the student has to be learned. Similarly, the assessment. See, any teaching learning pedagogy, or I say the teaching learning paradigm, basically consists of these three things: that what we are going to teach, how we are going to teach, and how we are going to assess. So it is totally learner centered, right? Now, so, basically, right now, if I see, it was teachers centered. Now we have to make it to the student centered. What that student wants to learn. Whether a student wants to learn music with electronics, whether a student wants to learn sitting at home, whether a student wants to attend a course which is not being taught in his college. It's not mandatory that if a student is having electronics engineering and he wants to learn computer science, he wants to learn law, he wants to attend a course which is happening, say, in MIT, all this can be done with this new education policy or with this outcome-based education, right? So as I told you, these three things are the main, the ecosystem which can be built. A good educational ecosystem which can be framed will always depend upon the contents, the knowledge delivery, and the assessment or the student learning. So if we want to bring a change in the education system, we should think of, or we have to think of, these three paradigms. All these three particularly, or okay, all these three play a very important role, and we have to bring changes in these three, because actually it's not what we are teaching right now. The emphasis is to be given on what they are learning. So that is why I was saying that we have to shift our focus from making our education system from the student centric to the from the teacher centric to the student centric. We have to shift our entire style of teaching, contents of teaching, style of assessing on the basis of that what our student wants to learn rather than what we want to teach. Because now this is very interesting, which I see that the this right now globally they say that any student should have a T-shaped, he should be a T-shaped person. Very interesting. Yesterday only when I was just looking into some topics about for the discussion, the requirement at the global level is that any student, any or a person who has a T-shaped skills should be, has always an edge over the other students. And how, what does this T shape represent is the vertical bar of this T, it represents the depth of knowledge and expertise in the single field. So, you know, this is the depth, and any person who has expertise and knowledge, it should be depth. And whereas this horizontal bar, it is basically that a student should be able to collaborate across disciplines and apply knowledge in parallel area of expertise, meaning thereby that now we do not want only the vertical growth, but a student should have horizontal growth, he should have multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary knowledge, you know, various disciplinary, he should have the knowledge about it, and he should also have, but he should have in-depth knowledge of some mastery or some skill or in-depth knowledge of or expertise in one single field. Very interesting one I found. And I just then realized that around amongst the all 26 alphabets, none of the other alphabets I could relate with such type of analogy. So this I felt good and I wanted to share with all of you. So now when I have talked about this education policy, now I would shift that when we are saying to implement this education policy, and when the government is saying that we have to implement by 2040, and they have very clearly given the timeline from like 2021 to 2040, how we are going to move. So the first and the foremost step to implement qualitatively this education policy is the movement towards outcome-based education. So outcome-based education, when I say that not only involves the changing the curriculum, but also, as I told you, changing the style of assessing the students, evaluating how do we evaluate the students' knowledge, and how do we change our curriculum, present curriculum, and how do we change our teaching learning styles so that we all these changes will reflect the achievement of higher order learning. I hope in the morning sessions you might have some of the speakers or the experts might have talked about the higher order learnings or the Bloom's taxonomy or the lower order learning. Anyway, I'll also try to cover a bit of it. So this is basically the OB is amalgam of knowledge, skills, and attitude. Earlier, we were just thinking of the knowledge part. Now the focus is given on the skills, how skillful a person is, right? How in-depth knowledge a person has, and the attitude. We have not only to just put the knowledge or the learning in the student that, okay, because you are a, you are a student and you have to read and you have to get 10th, you have to do 12th, you have to do arts. We should inculcate the attitude of learning. And that is why this OBE or the government is looking into the lifelong and the self-learning perspective of the students. And this is one thing, this is very, you see this one. So the knowledge and skill that gives you what process they should employ. if the knowledge and attitude gives you the purpose, you are gaining the knowledge and you have the attitude for which your knowledge, you are gaining the knowledge. So you have the purpose. The student has the purpose for attaining that knowledge. And if you have the attitude and you are gaining a skill, so you have the commitment towards yourself and towards society and your family, that you have that attitude to get the skills and you are committed. And if all we are a student or a child has these qualities, no one can stop him to be able to achieve success and laurels. So basically, the outcome-based education is the changing or the transforming on the base so that we are able to give knowledge to the students, we are able to provide them or make him skillful, and above all is giving them the providing the attitude in them to attain knowledge and attain skill. So this is all about your OBE. So if you see just as one slide on the comparison between the OBE education and the traditional education, the input which we give, because again I told you, now we are not just looking into the input to the output, but we are now shifted from input to the outcome. We are not now much bothered about the output, but if we are bothered about output also, but we are measuring the output in terms of outcome. Everything has to be measurable. So if I'm giving the input, which we are giving the faculty, if we provide the good faculty, what curriculum we are going to teach, what labs are provided for making them skillful, infrastructure, other facilities, all those things are the input. And we employ the teaching learning processes, which the teacher was giving the knowledge, the libraries were there, books were there, right? And the output was the graduated student, right? And these were the short term. But now we look towards not after even the after the graduation, but we also look into that how the student is capable or how much he is able to move in his life to for another 3-4 years, or how much is that student capable to fulfill the stakeholder satisfaction. And when I say stakeholders, the stakeholders does not mean only the parents and the student himself, but the employers are stakeholders, the industry people, those who are taking them, are stakeholders, the alumni are stakeholders, the staff, the public, the society as a whole, they are the stakeholders. So now our program should be designed in such a way, or the subjects or the curriculum should design such a way that we think of the long-term outcomes, long-term outputs. So rather than assessing them only by exams or small tests, we have to change the style of assessment also. So this I'll talk more about in my other session when I talk about the assessment, right? So what's the difference between the output and outcome? So when I say outcome, so the key things, that is, the student should be able to understand and should be able to do, or he should have the qualities, they should be developed. As I said, that outcome means something which is measurable. Output is a very good student getting 80% marks. Outcome is that this student is able to design a project. He is able to analyze this problem. He is able to perform this particular or solve these problems. These are outcomes, right? So there are so many, a very thin line, but we have to understand when we say that we want to move from output to the outcome-based education. So we have to think about, so this is the model of OBE, which I presume that you people might have seen in your previous sessions also, but just to keep in line with my session, I have just put one slide, and this is like, can anybody give me the input? Are you people well versed with this? So I will not spend much time on it, but if it has not been covered, then I would like to spend some time. Anybody in the chat box, or somebody can uh, just unmute and tell me, let me know this. Anyone from the participants?
Yes,
Because this
please,
is,
participants.
because this is a important, and this is the basics or fundamental of this model of OBE. So
Kindly
if this
explain,
has
ma'am.
not, okay, okay. So if it is not been covered elaborately, then I will spend some time over it. Okay, okay. Thank you so
And
much.
that was covered. That was covered in different way.
Okay, okay. Anyway,
Yeah.
so okay, it gives me a good chance to interact with the faculty. Thank you so much. So now
Yes, please.
this is basically the foundation of the OBE model, that everything, as I told you, is based on the outcomes. And this is a cycle, we call it as PDCA cycle. We have to plan, we have to do what we have planned. And after doing the things, we have to check what we have done. And after checking, we have to act in accordance to that, whether our planning and our checking, that is planning or evaluation, or the evaluation which we are doing is according to our plan or not. This is as simple as what we do at our homes. If I want to excel in something, I plan that we should go by this step, this step, this step. Then we perform the action, and then we evaluate whether we have performed in a better way or not. And after evaluation, we try to find out the gap, that whatever we planned, is there any gap between the planned work and the completed work? And if it is, then we need to act. And this is called the PDCA cycle, which is the backbone of this OBE, right? So when I say plan, so we need to first find out that what are we expecting? What should be the outcome? So as I was saying, now every activity, every uh, the every level of a student's performance has to be measured in terms of outcomes, and that is something which is measurable, which I can define. So we need to define some things. So first of all, if I talk about any institute, so we need to define that what that institute is looking up to. So we define it in terms of mission and vision statement. Every university has a vision, every college, even every department, we should define one vision and mission statement. I will elaborate in my successive slides, but just to introduce this. So that is the mission is just what we foresee, being far-sighted. After 5 years, after 10 years, where do I see my institute? So that should be very much clear in not only the mainly to the administrative people, but also to all the faculty members, that this is the mission which we are working for, right? Then we have some learning outcomes or objectives, which we call, which you people might also be doing it. Those colleges, those who have gone for NBA accreditation or MAC, they must be implementing this, and those who have not, they can just see. So we uh, every course has certain, we define program educational objectives. I'll discuss one by one in the slides. Then we define the program outcomes, and then we define course outcomes. So broadly, if I say the course outcome are the outcomes which are expected out of one course, every course. Then we come for the program outcome. After the entire program, if a 4-year course or a 3-year diploma course, if a student goes out after completing that 3-year or 4-year course, then what is expected out of him? And then we have program educational objectives after completing 5 years. So primarily what I want to say is that these outcomes are now have to be predefined before starting any program. right? So this is the plan. So now once it is planned in terms of measurable outcomes, then we look for the what ecosystem we have to build to achieve these outcomes. So teaching what should be the course contents, right? Which how we have to frame our curriculum, what teaching learning styles we have to if in any course the industry interaction is more important, or some project analysis is to be done. Some courses the case studies have to be done. Some courses require more visit, industrial visit, or some courses require more some survey kind. So every course, depending upon these outcomes, we have to decide what pedagogies and how the learning process has to be carried on. And then the assessment. How do we assess? How do we evaluate the student, that whether the student has learned what he wants to, or whether he has come up to the level of attaining these outcomes, right? Then comes the point of assessment. So we are assessing each and every course, right? We are assessing after the completion of 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, and then the entire degree, and then the university part. So this assessment will be on the basis of these outcomes. Whether if we have defined these course outcomes, so it means whether the student was able to attain these course outcomes. If we have decided these program outcomes, whether my class of 40 students of BTech Electronics, are they able to achieve these program outcomes? Then we have defined program educational, whether my students have been able to do this. So this plays another very important role of evaluating our students on the basis of this teaching learning. And once this is done, then we can check. And checking is not, or acting is not only just to see that, okay, yeah, we planned this and we were able to achieve this or not. We have to move in the direction of attaining or achieving these outcomes. And when we move in this direction, we are always moving in the direction of the continuous improvement. So that is why we call this OB model also a CQI model, that is continuous quality improvement. So this section precisely gives us always the platform, or gives us the, cushion period or cushion to act accordingly, so as these outcomes which were proposed or which were planned are properly attained or not. So this is, dear friends, the model of OBE, and I will try to discuss these things one by one also, a bit of them. Okay. So basically, as I told you, the pedagogical model is restructuring the curriculum, restructuring the pedagogy and assessment practice. I will give more focus on in my lecture, this present session, on the curriculum and pedagogy part. Assessment I'll be taking in the other session. So now we know that now how OBE has been planned, and we have been doing for the last at least 5-6 years. Since 2012, OB came into picture, and many colleges, many universities, because accreditation expects us to go for this OB model. So most of the colleges now, they have started doing it. Now I want to show you that how this OB will map to the NEP part also, right? So please keep this in mind, because right now this NEP is going to overcome the entire education system. So it's better that you start learning and knowing about it from today itself. So talking about the NEP and what benefits of OBE. So the best part or the beauty of this OBE in NEP is that the flexibility. The student is going to have the flexibility of each and every kind, not only choosing the college. Right now also a student choose a college, right? a student chooses, he has the flexibility of choosing a stream, a science stream, account stream, or humanities or medical. And if he is choosing a science stream, then he has the flexibility of choosing electronics, computer, physics, mechanical, whatsoever. But now the flexibility is not only in terms of picking a program or a course, but flexibility in terms of picking his own time of choosing also. He wants to complete a course in 3 years. If he's a slow learner, he can complete it into 4 or 5 years. If he's a fast learner, why? You just tell me, you all are faculty. In our class of say 70, out of 70, 10 or 15 students are always like this, which are very high paced learners. Their intelligence level, their cognitive capabilities are much higher than some of the average students, and some 10-15 students will always be there which will be below average. And what we people as a teachers or faculty we try to do is that we try to teach the either the most intelligent person some topics, or we try to teach the most duffer bacha so that he is able to come up to the level. Now, the problem is that if I am teaching at the pace of a student who is not able to understand very quickly, then why should a very intelligent student suffer? Why he has to slow down his pace? Are you getting my point? So now there will be flexibility. If I am a smart learner, if my cognitive capability is high, I can select more than if I have 5 courses in my scheme, I can select 7 courses and I can give my exams. Or opposite, if I'm a slow learner, I'm not able to keep up the pace with the 5 courses or 6 courses floated. I can slow down. I can take 3 to 4 courses and continue with my education. So that type of flexibility. Or if I say, I just related with this, say a pipe, right? A student enters from here, okay, a hollow pipe. Let me remove this. Okay, the student gets here, and once he is in the pipe, he is constrained to the boundary of the pipe. If a student is not able to get into IIT, he's got into NIT, not able to get into NIT, any private college, not private diploma. But once he gets into this, he remains here and he has to finish and come back from here. Whether there are bottlenecks here, whether there is anything, he has to move in here. But now with this NEP and OB program, this is not a simple hollow tube, but it is like a flute. It has the, some in between. He has the choice of slowing down. He has the choice of coming out and then coming back in. I'll talk about this. So basically, this NEP is and providing the flexibility. And then the flexibility in terms of if I'm studying in NIT and I had a dream of studying at IIT and I was not able to get admission. So this education policy gives me the chance to take some courses from IIT. I'm in third year. I see that 2 courses which are very important and I like them. I want to learn it from IIT. One can get enrolled in that course, study that course, get the marks, get the grade, and bring it and add it in your curriculum, add into your degree. So that flexibility also, picking the institution, picking the program, picking the course. And the best course and the best is that now a student, if I get into electronics, it means I stay throughout my life in the electronics. No. Now it gives the prerogative to the students to study a law subject, right? I can choose in between my minor. I can do while studying electronics, I can choose my some courses of management. I can choose of dance. I can choose of art. So that type of flexibility is going to be available with the students, right? So as I told you, the flexibility is not only in the time, in the the domain like space domain also, time domain also, and cognitive domain also. I want to have attained proficiency better than my co-peer in my class who is not at my level. I can go for a higher level of course, and that will be an added advantage to my course. I do not feel that the teacher in my college is well versed with this subject. I can go for an open MOOC course, SWAM platform, or any Coursera. I can go and learn there, and I can just get marks and get it adjusted in my degree. So this is, lot of changes. I will directly come to this curriculum. So lot of changes are going to be there. And to cope up, if you people might be thinking that how they are going to move from one institute to other, or from one credit, one course to other, or how they are going to make a balance, then there is a ABC policy of the government coming up, that is academic bank of credits. Every student who will take a course, he will earn the credits, and that credits will be put in a bank sort of thing. Like there will be a, wherever the student has registered, their entire, like we maintain the register every semester wise and every course wise credits. There it will be maintained that which credits he has got from the college or from other college or from NPTEL, and all the credits will be arranged and managed, and there will be a proper policy is right now framed. Just now on Friday only this ABC policy has come up. So there will be academic bank of credits. Like a bank, we keep our money and valuable, we'll keep the credits, so that after the typical or the number of credits required for the degree is complete, then the student will be given that degree. So again, this is a very wide topic which I can talk about. So curriculum, if I say flexibility is going to be available for the student to choose their learning trajectories. So it's not that if I have chosen science, I cannot learn something related to arts. If I have chosen humanities, but I'm good at coding, after I choose here in 11th, 12th, I choose science. And then when I enter into the college, I see that I'm not good at coding, but I'm more interested in the painting or some skills or artistic. A student will have his flexibility to choose that program. There will be no, dedicated segregation between the curriculum. Right now we have curriculum, extracurriculum, co-curriculum, so many things, right? Then we have this interdisciplinary, cross-disciplinary, multidisciplinary. So many, the students get confused कि क्या क्या कर रहे हैं, क्या पढ़ रहे हैं, But now this, with this, the multidisciplinary and the cross-disciplinary is being introduced for the holistic development of the student. So you can choose sports, you can choose yoga. There will be no, no discrimination between all these streams. Art student, we will not say कि ये तो arts का student है. I can be electronics engineer with a major in electronics and minor in dance. I can be a political science student with major and minor in programming, right? So they are redesigning the undergrad program, especially in which you can have one major course, one major, and you can have one or two minor specializations, right? So the student will be given the flexibility to choose any one major and two minors. Because now, and when we say major and the core curriculum, then also it is not only related or limited to the scientific or the only the conceptual knowledge. We look forward to, as I talked about the OBE, that is very much inculcated in this NEP, that we have to enhance the critical thinking. We just do not want to give our students, okay, this is the material, this is the book, this is the contents, read them. No, we have to treat them or make them so that they are able to think themselves. The analysis part, the critical thinking, the learning part, we have to enhance that portion. So we have to enhance, I would say, the cognitive capabilities of the students. Right now or in our times, it was ye hota hai, ye hai, read this happens, this is this. We also read like this. Now we have to make the students learn in the reverse order. Why this is happening, how this is happening. So if I want to teach a student some simple say digital electronics say gates. So instead of teaching them on the blackboard, this is AND gate, iski truth table hai, iska diagram hai, this is what. No, give them a project to design a buzzer which is using universal gates. So he will, then it means he will come to know that for designing this part, I need to know about the gates. What are the gates? If I want to know about the gates, I want to know about the digital part, how we are using this digital. So it is like now we have to make the student think about the creativity and the ability to analyze the thing has to be enhanced. That is the main motive of this OBE. And along with this thinking part and the knowledge or enhancing their cognitive skills, we have to go for the overall, overall skill development. That is, we have to make him scientific temper should be developed. And then he should be socially responsible. The moral and the ethical reasoning is very, very important. Right now, I don't know how many of your colleges they are putting in, but AICT has made it mandatory to teach the students the Constitution of India and the moral and human values and ethics, and also in course of environment. I don't know how many of you can just put it in the chat box if you people have any inputs. But this is now mandatory, and in coming days, this is going to be mandatory for putting up all these courses in the core curriculum, right? So then there will be major and minor, as I told you. I can specialize in a chemistry, right, with a minor in geography. I can be a political science with a minor in computers. So there will be, you have the various streams, and the student has the flexibility to choose between his professional and his vocational stream. It may happen that a student of music be very good at the electrical workshop kind of thing. No issues, right? So our industry is also going to change like this, and our education system has to pave a way or make a way to introduce this type of concept of education of major and minor. So there will be no boundaries among curricula, extracurricula, or co-curricula. No boundaries between arts, humanities, or science, or between vocational and academic streams. A very uniform, very seamless integration and blend of all these streams, which we right now, which we have very segregated, right? If a student goes into arts, तो वो सारी उम्र arts में ही रहता है. And then cross-curricular approach has to be there. Again, as I was talking about sports, sports does not only is responsible for enhancing the physical activities of the students, but it gives, I myself, I'm a badminton player, so that sports give also develop in me the teamwork, the leadership, the cooperation, the ethics, all these things. Then you do not need, nobody taught me a course on ethics. I never learned the leadership or the teamwork, but that came into me because I was into the sports. So sports integration helps us to diversify our, the student's perspective of learning. Then ethics, abhi we are teaching them patents, IPRs, ye sab padhao, ye padhao. If they are put in our pedagogy or our curriculum from the beginning, then we need not to teach our child ke bacche dustbin se bahar mat pheko, आप प्लास्टिक मत वो करो, पेड़ लगाओ. So these are not to be taught separately. They will come from the spirit itself. The student or the children will have their own cleanliness spirit, Then the skills, communication skills is so much important nowadays. You have to present yourself. Today, the market is that everybody has to, sell himself, and that cannot come without the communication skills. That may be verbal, that may be non-verbal. If I'm speaking, my tone and everything may be different. But if I can see your videos right now, we are doing it online, so this non-verbal communication is not playing much role. But if you as a teachers, we come to know, you can also relate this, that if we are teaching in the class without the student speaking, we are very much able to see which student is disinterested or which student is interested just by the non-verbal communication. So what I want to say is that we have to imbibe these qualities in our students through curriculum itself, so that ये नहीं कि कोई parents क्या सिखा रहे हैं कि society में है, every student will have the equal footage and platform to understand this. Now, this is very, very, very interesting and very important parameter which the government is putting in, that is the multiple entry exit. As I just gave you the example of this hollow tube, कि एक बार अंदर गए तो वो they will not come out, right? There is only one way to get in and one way to get out. But now this is not the case. As I told you, it is a flute. यहाँ पे it has holes. So the flexibility is in choosing the time of the program also. If after completing 1 year of the study, a student wants to leave, he is free to go. He can leave the 1 year. After 1 year, he can do a job, he can do whatever he wants to, right? And he can come back and again start doing to the second year, right? Right now, we are in the process of making designing the curriculum for Delhi government, and we are putting in this, that after 1 year, a student will be free, but he will be skillful. That we have to keep in mind, that he has to be skilled, so that if he is leaving after 1 year, he has something in his hand which can earn him the livelihood. So he can leave, he can save his credits in his bank, come back after 1 year or 2 years, and then take back those credits and move further in his studies. So there will be flexibility provided to the student to leave after 1 year, after 2 years, or after 3 years. So it is called the multiple entry exit system. And to consummate this properly, we have that academic bank of credit, that is the digital storage of the credits. So as I was just telling, that there will be flexibility of how these credits can be chosen by any student, whether he wants to go for online through SWAYAM or NPTEL, for Coursera, or some course being run at some other places like your college, and let us say NITER is providing this 6-month course. So the student can take that course from NITER, the student can take the course from NIT, and those credits will be registered and it will be improved. But yes, maximum of 7 years, there is a restriction. I told you this policy just came 2-3 years back, and I was lucky to listen to the person, Dr. Sancheti, who is into this, creating this policy. So on Friday only I listened to his, Saturday only I listened to his lecture. So this is about the ABC. So futuristic curricula, now if I talk about is, we have not only focus upon the core essentials, we have to focus on critical thinking, analysis-based teaching. As I was just giving you the example of digital electronics, you can think of your stream, right? Then for the holistic education and experiential learning, make them learn through the, through the experiments, because that will make them learn very quickly and very easily. And then again, coming back to OBE, that is the focus किस पे होना है पढ़ाने का, that is on the outcomes, on the learning or the course outcomes. what competencies we want from our students, how the subjects are to be integrated. There has to be no hard separation between the curriculum. They have to be proper integration of the subjects. So that is the change in the curriculum as per the requirement. ये नहीं कि 10 साल से वही कंटेंट्स है, वही सब्जेक्ट है और 10 साल से टीचर पढ़ा रहा है, because teacher is also very happy कि I have not to prepare new lessons 10 years सही वही चीज पढ़ानी है. So curriculum has to be revised after 3, because technology is changing so fast. You have to keep pace with that. So whatever we do, we have to focus on the learning outcomes, right? Then, so this was about the curriculum part. Any queries or any point anybody wants to discuss? I can stop here to discuss, or I can move with the pedagogy and the delivery parts. Or we can have the Q&A session at the end. Okay. So we can have it at the end, no issues. So that if I say the delivery modes, which we need to change in this OBE is face-to-face, we are already doing it. We have the lectures, but along with these lectures, you can invite some experts, some guest speakers from other institutes, other colleges. Those who are not available at your place, you can provide that flexibility or opportunity to the students to listen to the guest speakers, right? Then we have presentations, seminars, tutorials we already have. Because see, these presentations and seminars and colloquium, again, they are not just meant for the giving them just the knowledge part, but that if a student is presenting in front of his class, he will gain confidence. He will enhance the communication skills. He will learn how to, the confidence level, the presentation, how to present my things. So these things play a very important role there. Then make it cooperative and collaborative. Give them the project as we give them in the labs. Give them the problem based. Ask them to develop, okay, UPS banai. When they are going to study for the UPS, obviously they will study about, okay, what are the rectifiers, what are the clippers, or what that Zener diode is doing, what the power is doing, right? So see, I am basically electronics engineer, so the example always come in my mind is about electronics, but you can just think of. So give them the case study part, and that will again, in a way, help them to work in the team. One out of, if you have 4 members, one of them will be leader, rest of them may be following him. Some of them, they will have good cooperation will be there, understanding will be there, right? Tolerance will be there. So soft skills are also developed by giving them this type of learning. Then the technology based, and this technology based delivery, this pandemic has given very impetus. The only one thing which I find that this pandemic has a positive side, that is, it has given a pace to this technology delivering education system. Now, all of us, the students, teachers, we are very, very well versed and comfortable with this online learning, the virtual lab simulations. All colleges, they do not have so much of finances or money or facilities or infrastructure. So if you have the virtual labs, all the facilities which are available at IITs, they can be taken that facilities can be used by any college which is in the remote area, or any college which does not have that much of infrastructure, right? So this technology based delivery is again the in thing. Then we have the lab workshops which we are doing, and the for enhancing the skills. This is to be inculcated. It should not only the industrial training after second year, it is mandatory. Students also think, acha, ek industry mein karke aa jayenge. No, make them visit the industry, because the practical approach, how they will handle the things when practically they are facing, and they're sitting in the industry. That will give them more knowledge and more information as compared to what we teach them in the classrooms. So the industrial trainings, work attachments, if you are, if a student learning, say, business or finance accountancy, attach him with a CA, attach him someone who is doing the this income tax, say suppose, or GST. So a student, instead of teaching them ke aise nikalte hain, when he will face that problem there, he will be able to solve. So these are the delivery modes which the OBE looks forward to, that they should be included in our common curriculum. How we teach them, how we use different type of these delivery modes for our students. Right? Okay. And similarly, this NEP is also looking forward to these type of innovative pedagogy. You see, just compare, it is same. Experiential learning, right? Integrated arts, sports, ICT integrated. Peer tutoring, this is coming to be very well, but this is mainly for like the PhD students will be asked to teach MTech, MTech will be taught, or even the BTech, this among the peer, because they will learn by learning amongst themselves without the teachers. So these are the various innovative pedagogy techniques which the NEP is looking forward to with this OBE, right? And online digital education system, as I told you, this, because of this pedagogy, it has covered a pace which the government was expecting that it will take another 5 to 10 years that everybody comes to this level. But because of this COVID, lot of improvement and lot of changes has been done. So we all know now, but nobody, I think 90% of us might not be aware of this WebEx or Zoom, but within a week or 10 days, we were using it very frequently, right? So the blended learning, that is, now we are not only face-to-face learning is not there, but it is also the online learning is there. There are the digital platforms. So SWAM platforms for higher education. This is Diksha platform for the secondary education, right? SWAM is also NPTEL also for higher education systems. So a lot of the online and digital learning is there for the students. Okay. So basically, now if I see what is the psychological significance, why we want to go towards the OBE. So mainly the prime thing is that, you know, it plays with the psychological perspective of the learner. That student will always be happy when he learns up to his level of capability, and he will be successful when he is learned to his capabilities and he is happy. So this is again the psychological aspect has also been included while discussing or while implementing this OBE, because when we are enhancing the knowledge and the skills in the student, we are focusing on making him an active recipient. When we are talking in terms of his own choice of choosing the subjects, providing him the flexibility, giving him the flexibility of learning the way he wants. Otherwise, he comes at 9 o'clock, पढ़ते रहो 2-3 घंटे के बाद the student का दिमाग खत्म हो जाता है, right? Then also the teachers, we keep on mugging them up. Give them the flexibility, ठीक है? Go and study at your home or the hostel when you're free. So these are so many things which have been taken care of when they have seen that what is the significance of OB in terms of the psychology. We have to keep a motivating factor which will boost the future learning, because अभी क्या है, we are just bothered about कि 4 साल में बच्चे ने डिग्री करी, 3 साल में की, and he's out, and we are not bothered. But this OBE look towards the or cater towards the कि बच्चा 5 साल बाद भी क्या कर रहा है, वो अपनी लाइफ में whether he is capable to learn by himself, lifelong learning हमने inculcate की है. So whether he is able to justify that, if he wants to go to higher studies, will he be able to go, or if he goes appear for the his कंपनी एग्जाम, विल ही एबल टू अपीयर लर्न बाय हिमसेल्फ कि वहां भी उसको टीचर चाहिए कि ये नोट्स हैं ये पढ़ लो? नो. So that is why we have to boost up their learning, capabilities. So, okay, sorry, this is, so basically the outcomes again, if I see when I'm saying outcome based and we have to achieve the outcomes, we have three outcomes or objectives. The cognitive objectives, right? What do we want our graduates to know, the knowledge part. The affective objectives, that what do we want your graduates to think, that is, or care about, right? That is the attitude. And behavioral objects, what you want your graduates to be able to do, that is skill. Again, this is the same story which we have done, the knowledge, skill, and the attitude. So based on these objectives, this was a good intervention. सब सो गए हैं तो थोड़े जग गए होंगे. So based on these objectives, again coming back to the basic model of that OBE, we have the course outcomes relevant to the courses, program out, oh, I'm sorry for this typo error, and then program specific and program educational objectives. So this is basically the framework which I'll be discussing again in details. So every course will have a course outcome. Every course will be mapped with some program outcomes and then program education and the mission and vision. All these things along with this, this teaching learning, then we have the whether we were able to assess the course outcomes, whether we were able to achieve the program outcomes which we have planned, and whether we are able to achieve the institutional. And if not, then what improvements are to be done in not only defining these COPOs, but also in the course planning. So, okay, so this is the hierarchy. We start with the vision and mission of the institution. And I would not say only the institution, of the department also. And I add from my side to the faculty. I also should have a vision कि मुझे 5 साल बाद मेरे को PhD करके इतने पेपर्स निकालने, या मेरी PhD हो चुकी है तो मुझे 5 साल बाद 2 स्टूडेंट्स गाइड करने, या मुझे 5 साल बाद प्रोफेसर बनना है. So every person should have a vision and a mission of himself or herself. Then comes the program educational objectives. I'll talk about. Then the program outcomes and the course outcomes or the learning outcomes. So this is the model hierarchy. All of you, those who are following it, very good. Those who are not, please start following it. Because if you people are going for accreditation, the accreditation agencies are going to look for this only. If you people are going for affiliation or moving in the direction of education, new education policy, you have to sure follow these things, right? So these are short outcomes about the learning or the course and the programs, and these are the long outcomes. And this is a quality control, because every course outcomes which we are framing, we are assessing and we are analyzing. And if it is not, feedback. Every program is going through that, program outcome is going through that cycle. So again, whenever there is a feedback, whether it is positive or it is negative, it is always a step in the direction of enhancing the quality. Similarly, the other cycle. So all these, this is a closed loop program. The OBE is a basically closed loop system with the feedback, and which always move towards the total quality and taking into care the various stakeholders. So alumni, advisory, all this. Okay. So very quickly, I'll give some of the inputs for how to design the program outcomes, because I understand that other sessions will also cover some of this part, but stepwise, I'll just move on with this. So first of all, as I told you, the hierarchy of OB model is framing the vision and mission statement. So vision statement is always that what any institute inspires to become, right? That is a dream statement of any institute. So that is one line, precisely one line, one sentence statement. Lines can be more, right? And mission statements are those actionable statements that will guide to achieve this vision. So if I have a vision that how to achieve, that will be given by the mission statements. So they are actually the statements which should be defined in terms of what actions should be taken, right? So how do we formulate? Like first of all is we should involve all stakeholders. If I'm running a college, my parents of the students, alumni, the industry, the society as a whole, right? The management, all the stakeholders should be involved. They should have the discussions. They should go for the brainstorming that where we foresee our college after 5 years. If I have say suppose department also, I'm from electronics head, so I have one course of BTech and one course of MTech. So seeing the present situation, I should opt for another MTech, say for artificial intelligence, or I should go for a PG diploma course for say IoTs. So brainstorming should be done, SWOT analysis should be done to come up and to see what are the challenges. When I say SWOT, like if I am placed in a college which is in say Himachal, so there will be challenges about the locational disadvantage. The industry is not clear. The societal setup is different. So we have to think in all these terms that what are the short-term goals, what are the long-term goals, right? So taking all these things in our mind, a strategic plan has to be formulated to come up with the vision. So like this is a vision statement of any college, right? And then to finalize that if this is a say vision, I gave this example of EC which I made for my department. So this is a vision statement, a center of excellence to produce quality, self-motivated, creative engineers and technologists, those who will be contributing effectively to science and contemporary education. So this is the vision, and how to achieve this will be set of mission statements. So you will have 5 to 6 or 4 to 6 mission statements can be there, which will help them to achieve the mission. Then we come to the POs. So POs are basically they are consistent obviously with the mission, and these are basically decided or designed keeping in mind that what after 4 years or 5 years when the student goes out after completing his degree or diploma, what he is expected. That is how many of them are going for higher studies, how many of them are going to become entrepreneur, right? How many of them are going for the job? So and so all these things they are defined in the program educational objectives. And because they're long-term goals, as I told you, so they have to be in cognizance with the institute vision and mission. Okay, so you have to consult for this POs and mission vision. You have to consult all the stakeholders, faculty, students, management, everything. All the stakeholders should be there to finalize this mission, vision, and program educational objectives, right? So these are the sample parts. I won't spend much time on this. Okay, and then we have the program outcomes. So program outcomes are the statements or the outcomes which are expected out of the student when he covers the entire course. Like after 4 years of ECE, what professional, what knowledge, what skill, what attitude, what is expected out of the student. That will be defined by the program outcomes. So there are some narrower statements and which will be able to or which will be the guidelines that what is expected, because based on this only, as I told you in the beginning, it is student-centric model. OB is student-centric. So what is expected out of the student will always be the force behind what to teach them. If the placement or the companies are more interested in the students, those who have knowledge of artificial intelligence or data sciences, so it means we should change our curriculum and at least provide them some electives on the artificial intelligence. If the requirement of the industry is the knowledge of the coding, then change the curriculum, give them the subjects for the coding, right? I will take your queries just after this. I have so many of slides, but I think that I should first cover some of the main slides and then I can answer your questions. So POs, program outcomes, and they are now aligned with the graduate attributes, right? They are predefined now. Earlier, it was to be decided by the institute, but now universally they are predefined that what attributes a graduate student is expected. So there are 12 POs which are predefined, whether it is the knowledge, whether it is the problem analysis, solving the complex problems, modern tool, environment, ethics, see the soft skills also, lifelong learning, okay, analysis. So these are the graduate attributes, and every program outcome or graduate attribute has very clear-cut definition that this is expected out of the students. That students should be able to do research-based knowledge. We should be able to identify the complex engineering problems. We should be capable of designing the solutions of this complex engineering problems, right? So the student, if nowadays everybody is going for Python, open source. So if the tools are not there, put them in the curriculum. Give them the how to use or how to use of Python or how to do the coding part, right? Make them learn the ethics. Make them understand the societal and environmental issues and concerns. Research करो, इस direction में करो. सिर्फ ये नहीं कि पेपर हो गया और रिसर्च हो गया, right? So all these POs are very much clearly and distinctively defined that out after, and this I'm talking about the UG, right? For diploma, they are different. And then we have program specific outcomes, because these POs are predefined. So the government has said that some 2 to 4 PSOs, that is the program specific, if they have not been covered in the program outcomes, then they can be covered through the PSOs. Okay.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
One question has been posted by one participant that find the difference between PO and PEO.
Yeah. See, PEO is that PO, first of all, POs are that what outcomes are we are to attain when a student is completing his degree after 4 years or 3 years, what he should be able to attain, like communicate effectively, lifelong. So this is after the completion of 4 years or 3 years. That is the POs. And PEOs are after 5 years. If I just skip that, if I show you that they will be like after 3 to 5 years, that how many, like this is a sample, how many graduates were able to pursue their professional career, how many graduates they pursue in the higher education, how many graduates they become entrepreneur, how many graduates demonstrated the concern for society and environment. So basically, you see, after 3 to 5 years of their graduation, that is for PEOs. And for POs, it is immediately after their graduation. So this is the, PEO, yes, Mr. Shanu, PEO is long term. After, so it means how we achieve. We keep a track. So you should have a good alumni based. See, this I just missed because later I will cover. So this is that how we keep the record. How many of the students go for the GATE? How many of them are going for MBA or for appearing for IES and all? What is the placement record, right? Take the alumni survey, what they are doing. So this will help them to see whether you have achieved the PEOs or not. So POs are long term, after 3 to 5 years, and POs are immediately after the completion of the degree. Okay. And then comes the course outcomes. So course outcomes, as the name suggests, it is totally related to the individual course. So that is, if I am teaching any subject of mathematics, then what is the expected outcome from the student? He should have the knowledge of partial differentiation. He should be able to implement the complex numbers or complex problems. He should be able to apply the theorems on. So that should be the focus that is relevant to only one course of one semester, right? So course outcomes are basically those statements where again you have to take care of this knowledge, skills, and attitudes, right? And you have to write these statements in a term that is, don't write like this. This is one. So this is very bad course outcomes. How can you measure understanding? Understanding the knowledge, understanding the fundamental, understanding the basic concepts, understand. How can you measure? Whereas if you write, if you use the Bloom's taxonomy, I hope some of you might be knowing about it, most of you, but that will be covered again. So if you use these words instead of writing understand, write that describe or elaborate or recognize or explain or classify this, summarize this, interpret. That is, you can measure, and that is what the outcome means. That is something which we can measure it, or which is measurable, right? So you can design the part, do the analysis, right? So these are certain, we call them as the verbs which can be used for writing the course outcomes. So action words we call it, like create, plan, analyze, design, assess, compare, evaluate. So these are some action words which should be used to write down the course outcomes. And if I say how many course, it should be not very small, like 1 or 2, but the range is, we call it as 4 to 6. 4 to 6 number of course outcomes is sufficient for any course. They should be related. So if you see this, you have a vision mission statement, you have a POs. Now those who are asking Mr. Where, they will be clear about it. So mission, you tell the POs, those POs will define, okay, to achieve these POs, I need to have these POs. Earlier it was the graduate attributes, but now they are mapping. To achieve these POs, we define the course outcomes. So this is a very beautiful correlation between the CO, POs, and the POs. So CO attainment has to be done. So this was, we are defining. Do we have time, Mr. Jitendra?
Yeah, ma'am. You can continue, ma'am. We have 20, 20, 30
Okay,
minutes.
20, 50. I'll take another
15
10.
minutes.
I'll take another 5-10 minutes, and then
Okay.
questions.
Okay.
This was all about how to frame the COs and POs and POs. Now we have to see that how to attain, because main thing is attainment of these COs and POs. So I'm not going to go for this. So basically, there should be a consistency between POs and there should be a mapping. So every faculty should have a map between, draw this table and keep a map. And if you are a head of the department or you are the coordinator for this NB or this one, we have to have the entire mapping, which will finally tell us whether this has been attained or not. So what are the key components of the mission statements? And what are the POs, whether they are related or not. And if they are related, whether they are very closely related or they are loosely related or they're not related at all. So a mapping should be there in terms of all these parameters. So if I map between the mission and the POs, then there will be mapping between POs and program outcomes. So you write here first PO and then see whether are you able to map the particular PO with this PO. So entire align articulation should be there. In the beginning of any course, this articulation should be there, like see, right? So you see this. So again, a course. This is the course code. These are the program, A to 12 program outcomes. So it means this is the first course, this is the lab, and this is related to first PO, second PO, this is third, fourth, fifth, seventh PO, and ninth PO. Okay, and strong contribution. Then another course is lecture. So this is maths, and it is closely related to very strong contribution, and this is weak contribution, right? Then again lecture. So such type of mapping and articulation should be done at the very beginning of the course. So you write the course outcome and you see whether it is connected with the program outcome or not. So this is one example for my course like communication system. So we just decided in terms of numbers that 3 means strongly related, 2 means lightly related, 1 means very loosely, and 0, if I say not related, it becomes meaningless. But if it is not related, then why we are keeping it as CO, right? So you can average them out. So this is all mathematics. But the main thing is the articulation of this table form of the relationship between COs and POs, which every faculty should maintain, right? Similarly with PSOs and COs. This is for the lab course, right? So this should be done, and this is the articulation. And when to assess? So as I told you, the course outcomes upon the course completion just after the first semester, program outcomes after the graduation, and POs after 4 to 5 years. This is the time. And what are the tools? So like I told you about the POs, so employers, alumni, right? The placement records, higher education records, these will give you the tools to decide whether we have attained our POs or not, because the students leave. So if you do not keep a track of the students, if you do not keep the track of the alumni, you will never, and the students in the beginning, before becoming stable, they keep on changing. 2 years, some of them will do a job for 2 years, then they'll shift the job. Some will do job for 2 years, they will go for MS. Some will go for entrepreneurship. Some will go for say UPSC. So you have to keep the track, and that's why you should have a good alumni back base at your colleges. CO, that we have the exams, we are there, right? Assignments, quizzes, course performance. There, I won't talk about the rubrics, that will be talked separately. So COs, attaining these COs, we have different tools which we are presently doing. And POs will again be the, after the, like you take the feedback, right? You take the department performance, student exit surveys, when the students are leaving that first year, or alumni survey taken. Take the feedback from the parents, take the feedback from the companies, those who are ready to enroll them. Okay, so these are the some of the various tools which can be used for assessing the POs. And this is another table which I just see that POs you can assess with employer alumni survey. Make it every year, once or twice. That has to be assessed by institute and department. POs, again, the assessment tools are defined. Make it semester wise, every month, every 6 months and every year. Who has to address it? Faculty, department, institute. COs, obviously, every semester that we are doing. And then assessment has to be done every 2 months or at the end of the semester, and this is the totally exclusive on the faculty. Okay, so this is again the same thing. Okay, this, I think this will be my last slide. So what administrative support should be there for implementing OBE? Akela chana hai, bhar nahi phod sakta hai. So you need to have a quality assurance cells. The NAC is NAC requires that there should be IQAC cell in every institute. So that will keep track of POs and missions and all that at institute level. Then you should have a alumni. I told you, because POs and mission have to be assessed basically through them. So you should have a good industrial and alumni board also, and advisory board also, because actually the alumni are the ambassadors which are taking to them. Then every program should have a coordinator, especially when you have same course being taught by 2-3 common courses like physics, maths, basic courses, which number of teachers or teach. So there should be one program coordinator so that uniform CO formulation and attainment is achieved. And then there should be individual course coordinator. So this type of administrative support should be there for the implementation of OBE. So with this, I would like to conclude my presentation. I have been very fast at the end because time was running out. So continuous improvement is the gist or the essence of OBE, because everything which we are doing, whether we are framing the course outcomes, we are framing the program outcomes, basically we are going for the continuous improvement of the students, of the faculty, of the institute as a whole. So thank you so very much for patience hearing and listening to me for the entire so much of time. And I'm open for the questions and answers if you have any.
Yes, participants, if you have any question, please ask. Kindly unmute and ask. So I think, ma'am, they have already discussed, they will already asked in chat box. So,
Yeah.
so thank you very much, ma'am, for this very generous and informative session about implementation of outcome-based education in light of National Education Policy 2020. And you explained this OBE framework very nicely. I hope all the participants enjoyed the session. So we are very much thankful to you, ma'am, for sparing time for this wonderful session. And on behalf of all the participants, Engineering College Bikaner and Atal AICT team, it's my privilege to extend vote of thanks to Dr. Meenakshi Sood, ma'am, for this wonderful session. So now let's conclude the session, and we will reassemble tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. for the next session. And the joining link will be shared in your WhatsApp group as well as through mail also. And you may have also got one mail regarding cancellation of the meeting. So kindly note that that message is regarding Google Meet link that we have cancelled now. And we will be meeting in this Cisco WebEx platform at 9:30 morning tomorrow. So thank you once again, Dr. Meenakshi ma'am, for this wonderful presentation.
Thank you so much for
Yeah.
giving this opportunity to interact with all. And I thank all the participants I can see in the chat box. Thank you so
Yes.
very much. sir.
Ma'am, just a minute. Yeah, Ritwa sir, please.
Jain sir, thank you Meenakshi ma'am for such a wonderful and informative session. Just a formal thing, like I request every participant to on the camera so that we can have a snapshot of this session. Please, every participant, just for a snapshot purpose, if you can on your cameras. Few of them have opened up. Yeah. Great to see everyone here. Thank you. Yeah, let me take the snapshot. Thank you. One more, please. Thank you all. It's done. Thank you. Thank you, Meenakshi ma'am, once again.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Jain sir.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
Okay. Bye.
So, sir, we should end the meeting, and then we will share the Cisco WebEx link
Yes,
in their
yes.
WhatsApp group as well as mail. Okay.
Okay. So thank you all the participants.
Thanks
Thank
to
you,
all
sir.
the participants, and now
Thank
you
you,
can
sir.
leave the meeting. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Sir, good evening. This is Dr. Preeta from Vistas, Chennai. Have a small request. Can you uh, request the resource persons to give us more inputs, not only from the engineering perspective, but also from other streams also, because we have participants like me who are from the MBA department. So today almost all the sessions we had oriented towards even the POs were discussed with respect to engineering. I can understand that, but then also we, if that is accommodated, it will be very fine. That is one request. And one more request is like sharing of the material, because particularly Meenakshi ma'am's session was fully loaded. It built up the entire base for the outcome-based education. So if and finally we are going to write a test also. So if the material is shared, it will be useful. A request only, sir, kindly.
Yeah, ma'am. One thing that is that we have already our this schedule is finalized, and it's not like that we have already all lectures are regarding this engineering background. It's not that. Tomorrow morning we are having very good session on the rubrics. So and many other sessions are there which are in general we can implement those in your even in school education also, not only in engineering, in college education or in higher education, in primary education also. So it's not like that we have focused only on engineering side. Uh, However, this NBA guidelines is regarding engineering. Yeah, you can say that this National Board of Accreditation, that is for engineering. That's why I think today you feel like this one. And as far as this material is concerned, we will be uploading all this this recordings to YouTube, and then link will be shared to all of you. So this is all from my
Thank you,
side.
sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thanks for the understanding, sir. It's only a request.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All the sessions were very valuable.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
understand
yeah.
your efforts, and thank you, sir. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Rituraj sir, Jitendra sir.
Thank you, sir. Sandeep sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So can we leave now, sir? We can close this.
Every participant can leave the meeting so that we can formally end the meeting. Okay.